I should have flipped those around. I should have done escape velocity first, and then done John. Yeah, and I actually forgot about the ground support, or not escape velocity. All right, so we are expecting the science crew to be showing up shortly. I figured you would grab your.
It's a bagel.
It's a bagel.
A bagal. A bagal with creme chisel.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys like the promo video. For those patrons, you actually already had access to the promo video as of yesterday. I spent an obscene amount of time this last week figuring out how to separate the shows from an automation standpoint. What are we giggling at? After Dorks?
Yeah, that was a good one. Good one to Wicked.
To Wicked,
So,
hang on, there you go.
yeah.
After Dorks.
Good one.
Yeah.
So.
There you go. So yeah, I checked my email. I was actually trying to deal with. Cool.
Are we doing Space Pod? We can get Mike's Space Pod done, and then we can release him.
Yeah, we should probably do you guys up for Space Pods?
Sure.
You get ready to do it? All right, so Space Mike, we'll start with you, and then Jared will do you. And I don't think we need to move anyone around. I think we're good, kind of.
Good as
with
is?
The cameras as is, yeah. So
Cool.
Let's make it happen.
Okay, are we doing like at the end of last year where I'm doing my own intro and everything like that?
Yeah, it's a think of it as a standalone Space Pod, just like we're doing. I kind of like that format. Also remember, if do kind of like a cold open, right? So a quick little like introduction, then we'll run the Space Pod intro, and then you can continue with your stuff and things. Does that make sense?
Okay, sure.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll do my first like paragraph in there that I have, and then I guess roll the intro, and then we'll come back and go through the rest of it as it is there.
Sure.
Are you actually going to play the intro?
No. Well, I'll do that in post. Yep.
Okay. All right. So I won't sit here silently for a minute.
That's fine.
Well,
that's fine.
I'll give you a break. You know what I mean. All right. Okay. Take one. And welcome back to Tomorrow. Some of the things that we didn't get to talk about this particular week that I wanted to discuss was some just contracts that Orbital ATK has recently signed to advance some of their future projects.
Say again?
I don't think we need to say welcome back to Tomorrow if you don't want to. Did you have a technical issue, or was it a verbiage issue?
No, it just seemed like he went straight into his paragraph.
Oh, yeah, no, so we need a cold. So
you need a cold open to start your space pod.
And then a break for the intro.
Yeah, didn't he say he was going to do the first paragraph and then break?
Yeah, but I think you don't need to say welcome back to Tomorrow. It's a standalone object, so just go straight into your first paragraph. After your first paragraph, throw it to the cold open, and then we'll do the cold open. Does that make sense?
The cold open being like the intro media?
Yeah, the thing that says SpacePod on it, right? So you'll do. Hang on, let me.
Okay.
You know, my problem is I'm not actually reading what you have. So.
There's a person.
Treat it like a space pod.
So hang on. I'm killing this.
So, we're doing space pods, so we're good.
Okay.
Is that Athena?
Can you tell? No, he did. He said that basically, like, this is stuff we didn't get to in the last show.
We don't want to say
discuss. So you don't want to talk about you don't want to reference the show at all. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't want to say didn't get it. We're treating it like a space pod. There's your space pod for.
I like how somehow.
You want something like, there were a few recent contracts that have been signed by several companies and blah, 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 blah. This is your space pod for...
Hang on. Space Mike, I just updated your script, added some question marks around something that you might be able to just get rid of. See if that, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's better for a shorter little cold open, and then run the little planet space pod thing.
Right. Then we'll come back to you maybe for a sentence, and then go straight into your next generation.
My first pick.
Yeah, exactly. So for the next generation launch vehicle, which would be based on solid rocks, use blah blah blah. Like this. Okay, so I moved where that media starts. So I'm going to kill everything in the question marks. All right, update your run. Well, Dutta, you don't actually need to update your rundown, but everyone else, look at that script, see if that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
That looks good to me.
I will update the template to more, better, reflect. Those are the words I decided to use, more, better.
Mo better.
Mo better, reflect how the space pods will flow, if that makes sense.
It's a gooder idea.
I think that's much more gooder. Yeah. All right.
You gonna make me talk gooder?
If you want to put the space pod open reel in there, then I can just run that, and then you don't have to edit.
It's not a bad idea, but we'll deal with that in the future.
Right.
Yeah. I'll deal with that in the After Dark stuff too. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
All right, well, let's try this again then. Okay.
Whenever you're ready, Mike.
Okay. Hello, Space Mike here, and I wanted to talk about a few recent contracts that have been signed by Orbital ATK that will advance some of their future space projects, including their next generation launch vehicle and their mission extension vehicle. This is your space pod for Tuesday, January 9th, 2018. For their next generation launch vehicle, which is based on different vehicles that Orbital ATK is already making. Their Pegasus rockets, their Minotaur rockets, and their Antares rockets, as well as the solids that have been used on the Space Shuttle for the SLS and the solid rocket boosters for the Delta family of rockets as well. And they're combining all of these different elements into a rocket that would be a orbital class, or rather a EELV class rocket for national security payloads. And what this recent contract that they've signed is actually having to do, it's a cooperative research and development agreement with the United States Air Force, specifically the Space and Missile Systems Center, in order to provide the information that Orbital ATK would need in order to turn this vehicle into all the requirements needed to be an EELV class vehicle, an Evolved Expendable Launch Vehicle. Now, the Cooperative Research and Defense Agreement provides the framework and plan for data exchanges needed to certify Orbital ATK's launch vehicle, and to date, the company has jointly invested with the Air Force more than $200 million to develop the next generation rocket family. There would be several different configurations of payload fairing sizes, different number of solid rocket boosters on the side, and there is a lot working on this, and I'm very hopeful to see this. The next phase of the next generation launch vehicle program is expected to begin when the Air Force awards launch service agreements in mid-2018. And either way, I find the idea really impressive of combining all of their different solid rocket inventory into one particular vehicle. And it's nice to finally see some quality artist renderings of this proposed rocket family as well. But the other exciting thing I wanted to talk about that Orbital ATK recently did is regarding their mission extension vehicle, which Orbital ATK has been working on for several years, that could extend the life of geostationary satellites and even move them into different orbits. Now, what this new contract that they've signed regarding this has to do with is that they've signed a contract for their second commercial mission of this yet-to-fly spacecraft. The contract has been signed with Intelsat, who is also their first customer for the mission extension vehicle, and that first mission is scheduled for later this year, in late 2018. And Orbital ATK plans to expand the satellite servicing capabilities and address additional in-orbit needs for customers. And they hope with the Mission Extension Vehicle 2, the second vehicle that they do for this, that they will be able to have not only invest their own capital for this, but also have agreements with NASA through the Space Act agreements to be able to have next generation life extension repair capabilities, as well as be able to do in-orbit assembly of larger structures, and even possibly be able to do cargo delivery and related services to further out stations, possibly even lunar stations, and align with the different Cislunar 1000 plans that are going around commercially. So I think that this is really great. It's good to see that despite some of the difficulties that they had with the, I should say, competition with DARPA and the favoritism that NASA had with some of the contacts with that Orbital ATK is going to be just fine. Already signed up a second mission for this, and that we're going to see missions like this. And I really like the idea of being able to extend the lifespan of communication satellites for many more years and even move them into safe orbits. And hopefully this will lead to future systems like recovery of large pieces of orbital debris. But that was something that I wanted to talk about this week, and hopefully we'll see a lot more information about this really soon. Keep looking up, everybody, and don't forget, Ad Astra, to the stars. Wow, I haven't done that sign off in a long time. Holy crap. That just came out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That just came out.
I liked it. For future ones, we're not going to fix it for this one, but I've added it into the template for future ones. We want to do
That's what I was supposed to say.
Yeah, you
remember.
got it. Yeah, no, it's fine because
join in every week. It wasn't all that stuff.
No, it wasn't in your notes. I get it. It's fine, and frankly, it's not required.
Let me add it to my notes.
Yeah, it's not required. It's just a nice to have because we do want to keep pushing people back to the show.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but that was good. That was great. I like it as is. And then for moving forward, I've updated the template so you will see mention previous. This is your space pod for blah 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 blah. Intro. Mention previous live show. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and close out with your own slogan. Right? Because feel free to do that. I actually like that personal touch. I think that's pretty cool. Great. Template's updated. And speaking of data, because we're going to be running, I did the show changes not in the template this week. I did them directly in the rundown. So I think I have gotten them all updated in the template, but we need to make sure next week that I didn't bork anything up in the template itself.
Copy. The issue with with science not having EV in the open, I think is a result of it being in the rundown twice in science. In space.
Oh, so, it's in the rundown.
So it's in it's in the preset, and it's
yeah, it doesn't outside. Need to. Yeah, I'm going to delete it from the.
Yeah.
So it only needs to be in the preset.
Correct.
All right. Oh crap! No, it doesn't. That's all right. That's okay. It was in there twice because it gives you the note as to what it gives the talent the note on what to say.
Ah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll actually reverse that.
Can you?
Stand by.
Oh boy, this is a mess. What was I doing at 3 a.m.?
Do you need a moment?
Creating a mess, clearly.
Yes.
We always think, oh, I'm wired, I'm fine, I'm doing great stuff. Then you go back 24 hours later and look at it and go, what the hell?
Down select, make the cost capped at, whoa, was I even writing in my native tongue? What was going on here?
Do you need a minute?
Wow, bro, do you even English?
Not as gooder as Ben, so.
I talk pretty someday.
Wow. That's amazing. I stumbled onto a new form of linguistics.
Dada, I understand. So, yes. So we need the slug in the rundown so that we can actually see on our side that there's a citizen slate here. And
Correct, but with no image tag.
But with no image tag. I understand. I will make sure I understand. I see the problem.
So the image tag needs to be taken out of the escape velocity,
I understand.
slug, and space rundown.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's done in the template, so you'll see that next week. Mike, I think we're done with you. You're free to hang on if you want to watch science, because I think we're free. We have available channel. or you can bail if you want. Just be prepared. While the calendar only showed 3 launches this week, there are actually 2 more from China that had no additional data that we opted not to show because there was no data on them. So there may be 5 launches this week. So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's all good. And if we do want to do something like we talked about earlier of sharing those in the future, we can talk about that. Otherwise, I don't mind. It's not like I'm trying to get, like I don't want to do launches or anything like that.
I
was just thinking for when we have a large amount of them, how we could potentially bounce back like that. It's just an idea. But yeah, no problem. Hopefully everything goes off.
No, I get it. I understand the thought process behind it. I think my thought process is you're really good at it, and so I want you to do them.
Yeah.
How's that?
You're solid at it.
I mean, why? I mean, if there's an advantage, Lisa.
There's a Stoge.
All right, Jared, do you need more time?
No, I'm good. I'm good to go. So it's just going to be my usual, where it's going to take about 12 to 15 takes for me to remember what to say. So, hey, so glad I did that while the camera was right on me. So excellent. So everybody's like, "What the heck's he doing?" It's like, don't worry about it. Just, I'm a genius. All right, let's
crank this out, and then we're gonna move over to science.
Yep. All right, you guys ready?
Oh, yeah. We're getting all settled down over here.
You're good.
Yeah, you're fine. Simmer down now. So.
Oh, are we? Do you want us to go over there?
No, you're fine. Just...
No, this is my stage right now.
Okay. I know. Can't upstage.
All right, you guys ready? All right. NASA's New Frontiers program is taking us to an asteroid with OSIRIS-REx, to Jupiter with Juno, and to the frigid edges of our solar system with New Horizons. And now they're working on their 4th mission. I messed that up, so all right.
Does it help if I hover like this?
Oh yeah, please hover over me.
Yeah.
Come here, Ben. Get a little closer. So. NASA's New Frontiers program has taken us to an asteroid with OSIRIS-REx, to Jupiter with Juno, and to the frigid outer reaches of our solar system with the New Horizons mission. And now NASA's getting ready to select their 4th, and they've down-selected to 2. And this is your space pod for January 11th, 2018. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Nailed it! You're done.
That's it. It's over. So that's it. That's all you get. So 15 seconds. All right.
Quiet on set. I'm getting paper crumpling.
Oh, you're hearing paper? Okay.
We're good. We're good.
So, all right. Two missions have been chosen to go forward with development. Now, both of them are doing completely different types of science, but the exciting thing about both of them is that they're doing things that we've never done before. Now, the first of those 2 missions that was chosen is called CAESAR, and that stands for Comet Astrobiology Exploration Sample Return. Now, it's actually going to launch the Comet 67P, also known as Churyumov-Gerasimenko, and that'll occur in sometime in the mid-2020s. Now, if 67P's name sounds familiar to you, that's because it was the target of the European Space Agency's wildly successful Rosetta mission from 2014 to 2016. Now, by going to a comet that's already been studied in as great detail as Churyumov has, the operational risk is minimized. That means that because we've mapped it, we basically understand all of the problems that come with it. Now, it's going to use an arm, and CAESAR will approach the surface, and it will grab 2 distinct samples from the surface of Churyumov. That would be one of non-volatile materials, basically stuff that isn't ice, and then another of volatile materials, which is ice. And then it will place at least 100 grams of cometary material into a sample container to be supplied by the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. And that sample would eventually return to Earth sometime in 2038. Now, those samples, if this mission goes forward, would be the first pieces of a comet's nucleus actually retrieved for us to study in laboratories here on Earth. And another bonus, Caesar is being led by Steve Squires, who is also the principal investigator of the Mars Exploration Rover program. Now, the other mission is called Dragonfly, and it's quite an ambitious one. It also would launch in the mid-2020s, but Dragonfly would arrive at its target, which is Saturn's largest moon, Titan, in 2034. Now, it would descend through the atmosphere like the Huygens lander did in 2005, but the similarities, they would end there. It would then deploy a rotorcraft to fly in the atmosphere of Titan, which sounds difficult, but actually, it's easier to fly in the atmosphere of Titan because Titan's atmosphere is thicker than the Earth's, and the gravitational pull on the surface of Titan is also quite a bit less than Earth's as well. Now, Dragonfly would initially land and study its surroundings, and then it would activate 8 rotors and take off to another interesting area, traveling anywhere from a few hundred meters to potentially several hundred kilometers at a time. Now, powering this impressive suite of cameras, drills, spectrometers, high-gain antennas, and rotors would be a multi-mission radioisotope thermoelectric generator, or what we also call an MMRTG. Now, this uses the heat from the decay of plutonium in order to generate electricity. So that would basically make Dragonfly a nuclear-powered rotocraft flying in the atmosphere of a moon going around an outer planet. And that mission time for Dragonfly would last approximately 2 years, and it's basically sounding about as epic as it gets. Now, both of these spacecraft have received about $4 million in further funding to revise their designs. And then they're going to down select to a single mission in 2019. And that mission will be cost capped at $850 million total for the budget, which does not include a launch vehicle or spacecraft operations. So expect that total cost to go just slightly north of about $1 billion. So which one of these two do I want to actually end up seeing come to fruition? Well, ¿por qué no los dos? Why not both? That would be kind of nice if we could end up making that happen, like we did with the recent Discovery class missions that NASA selected this year in 2017. So, thanks for watching the Space Pod, and if you enjoyed this, you should tune in at 1800 Coordinated Universal Time on Saturdays to watch the TMRO live show, because there is nothing quite like watching it happen live in front of your very eyes. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to us as well here on TMRO. So, until the next Space Pod, keep exploring.
That's good.
All right, that's it.
Hi, Lisa.
I'm out of here. So,
hello, everyone.
Hi.
We're gonna mic you up. Get you earbuds. Jared, I'm gonna need your mic. Carrie Ann, I'm gonna need your mic and your packs. Those packs as well. We're gonna start in the newsroom. Okay. Lisa, I need you to go sideways for me. We're gonna hologram you. Is that possible?
We are starting in the newsroom. Okay, I thought we were gonna do the whole thing from the observation lounge, but that's okay.
Wait. Hang on. Did we decide that and I forgot?
I think maybe we did decide that just to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I thought so.
Wait, we can do it. We can totally do it. It's fine.
Well, let's, Dutta, what's your thought on this? Do you care?
If we're gonna be consistent with the format, I think it would be better to start in the newsroom for news stuff.
Well, I don't want to sound...
If you just want to introduce flow and kind of get the feel for how a show works, then I'm fine doing it on a...
No, I want it to be as close to a real show as possible, although it's not going to be super close. Carrie Ann, your thought?
I don't want to sound insulting in any way. However, Jade and Athena are significantly taller than Lisa. If we're going to make Lisa life-size on the screen...
Yeah, but we can do camera magic for that. I'm just wondering if we actually need to do...
No offense, Lisa. Honestly.
No, it's all good.
I mean, I stand on a freaking box.
Internet.
She knows she's short.
Internet, let me turn it to you, because this would be a fairly permanent change, right? So if we do this, should we do the news for science in the control room, or should we just do all of science out on the observation lounge? What is your opinion, Internet?
If you want to keep it as similarly as possible, then yeah.
There's no need for that. It's a different show. So the show can be uniquely its own with clear tidbits. Like it obviously is borrowing from one another, but I don't need them to be identical. There's no need. It doesn't have to be that way.
Nobody cares but you, Ben.
Nobody cares?
Not me.
Yeah, Ben. Nobody cares.
Can we see what that would? I mean, we kind of got an idea of what it looked like with everybody on the observation deck. Can we just get a?
Yeah, let's try. That's a good idea. Let's try it and see what works. So
Yeah,
we're going to go
both and see what it looks like.
Yeah. So
All
can
right.
you go sideways?
Yep. All
Are
right.
you able to?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
cool.
able to. I've got the
Everyone
same
goes
setup
this
as.
way?
Upside down already?
And let's get you two mic'd
Yeah,
up.
you're probably gonna see like all of like the things in my room that are like, oh no, window.
Dada, I'm going to keep my mic pack, so we'll put them on 3 and 4. Does that work?
Yep.
Yeah,
Who do you want where,
standing
Dada?
here, I need to be wearing heels. That's what I need. Wait.
So should I plug my headphones into that one?
Yeah, you're going to want this one right here.
Okay.
It's going to be substantially better than that piece of crap.
Sure, I just send it straight to me.
Who's on 3? Jared, are you on 3?
Am I?
Jared, I need your mic pack.
I left it on the table.
Okay,
Hey,
thank you.
Fit Orion on Twitch. Yes, I am still in New Zealand. I'm in Auckland, in New Zealand.
Okay.
So, Dada, you don't care?
Because I'm short here now.
Huh?
Dada, you don't care who's on 3 or 4?
You go.
No, I just need to know.
That's that.
Okay, I need to remember how.
Let me go get my.
Thanks for
I
distracting me.
have some pretty cool stuff on it, so.
Chat room, the reason I'm not wearing a lab coat is because,
All right.
in
Jade,
my
you're
opinion,
on
I don't
4.
think you need a lab coat. Science.
This
Science
is
to me is all about being curious.
This one's mine.
So, and we want to kind of open that up to everyone with this show. So.
I'm sorry, Lisa, I was only half listening. Try again.
Oh, I'm just talking to the chat room.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Lisa, your camera needs to tilt down significantly.
Who's getting my mic cut? Is it-
Yeah, I figured that. I was like, I'll just stand on my toes. No, that's not going to work. Okay. I don't.
Yeah, so that's for the IFB figure to hear.
No. What just happened to mine? Got it.
No, yours is not in use. We're using 3 and 4, not 2.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, so earbuds. HB1, I need earbuds for Jade. So this is so you can hear Lisa.
Yeah.
So we're working that right now.
Oh, okay, cool. And this is going to be for that then?
Yeah, that's correct. You can put it on. I put them on. So I wear them on either side. I put my.
like a
we have the new
turbo.
mic pack, so you can put them on anywhere you want.
Hell yeah.
Lisa, I think you froze.
I feel like a cowboy. Thank you.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Or I don't
And you're
know.
good with those?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think they work pretty
Yeah.
well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
Do
you.
I
you?
feel like
Yeah.
my internet is balking. So if that happens, I'm going to have to switch to my hotspotting my phone. So.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens during the show and just kind of go with it.
So who's got what?
Yep.
Do you know what channel you're on?
No.
3, 4. Jade's on 4.
She's gonna get a return from everybody on her.
Earpieces are all on the same channel 1. All earpieces are on the same.
Aren't you cutting that channel for the return?
All
Is this?
IFBs in studio are on the same channel.
Someone need
Yeah.
earbuds?
Does that answer your question?
No.
So
Okay.
I think we're good.
cool.
Thank
You're
you.
talking back to yourself.
Yeah, it's like a
Yes, we
rehearsal,
can
but
always
they
hear
are still
ourselves in our
live.
own
They're
ear.
using their after hours live.
Oh, so they are going to be watching us.
That is not
Yeah,
true
but
remotely,
it's like
but it
the
is
after
true
hours.
internally.
Okay,
Yes.
good, because I'm
Cruise,
like,
so.
Do you two need computers for your rundowns and
Yes,
whatnot?
that would be
please.
amazing.
Great.
Please, yeah.
I'm
is
gonna
that a
need your
thing?
computer.
I'll bring mine next time.
Hell yeah.
I have a cool Galaxy cover.
Hello, Jade and Athena.
Aw.
Hi. How's it going? I like the
I
shirt.
love that you looked at this.
Are those cats in space?
Yeah, Space Cat.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh, I want the orange one. I really want an orange cat. Name it Schrodinger.
Aw.
Because you don't know if it's dead or alive. It's so terrible, actually.
Oh, yeah. I can
Bring it
just
to the vet.
You don't know if it's dead or alive?
If you call it Schrodinger. Or Schrodinger's.
I thought you meant because it was
Schrodinger.
orange.
That
Whichever way. It's like, I feel like there's a million ways you could say his
But
name.
like if you continue to, call the cat, that's just all of the things.
I felt like for sure I could call it Dinger, which sounds kind of dopey.
All right, so this will be.
Who's doing this?
That's what we're figuring out today.
Gotcha. Okay. Do
Hang
they,
on, let
you
me
want the
check
chat room or
recording.
no?
Yeah, they should have the chat rooms open.
Okay.
It's as if we're real.
Sure. Do you have a do I sign in as me?
Just leave it as you.
Cool. Yeah, I was like, wait, what's my password?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Imagine, that would be great.
Same password I use on my luggage. So, we've got the rundown on the left side. While we're doing this show, we're going to work with you both to make sure that the rundown is in a format that you are comfortable with.
Okay.
Like for your own news stories, so that when we move forward to next week's show, you kind of know what to expect from the rundown software itself. So that the viewer that we've put you in is called the tablet viewer, and this kind of gives you the ability to kind of scroll up and down. You'll see your data is right over here. It's right here. And then the data on the right-hand side is data for Dutta to actually choose what media to go to and when.
I made it bigger so I can read it, so you can definitely make that smaller.
That's helpful. I have really bad vision.
Right, and if you need size adjustments, that's in the upper corner. So if you scroll all the way to the top, there's little large A and little a. You can hit the large A to make it bigger, little a to make it smaller. So this is what we use during the show. It is tied directly to the broadcast system. So when you add media in there, it automatically gets added to all of our systems, and then we can follow along, which gives you the ability to update your scripts and rundowns in real time. Having said that, they are due an hour prior to the show, so that we have actually for space science, it's going to be due 3 hours prior to the show, so that we have time to test the rundowns and make sure that they work correctly. Cool. So the first thing we need to do, by the way, hello Internet, we're going to start and stop a whole lot.
Hi guys.
So,
what do you think about switching Jade and Athena?
let me hang on.
Do you
want to see it?
I can like stand back more and then like I don't know.
Jade's hair.
I
blends
I was gonna say it was a little brighter there, so this reflected a lot.
Yeah, that works.
Hello.
Like the curl.
Oh no, here we go.
Yeah, that works.
And so it begins.
Ah,
All
not
right.
gonna pay attention to that.
Yeah, I
The
was just gonna say,
cats
if
say
anything
hi.
like that pops up, just make me know.
Bon Jovi wanted to.
Do I have moderators in the room?
Helldesk, Chris Radcliffe's in the room, but I don't think he's listed as a mod.
Colton, if you could give me a few extra moderators at this point, that would be great. And we're going to always need to do that for science. I want to make sure, and feel free to be slightly heavy-handed with moderation.
Is the cat a moderator?
I don't believe so.
No, she's not.
All right, so the first thing we need to do, the show format is we're going to show a disclaimer. By the way, everyone can hear, correct? Right?
Yes.
You can hear Lisa, you can hear me, you can hear yourselves through your own earpiece, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lisa's frozen again, and we've lost Lisa. No! Lisa's turned the bars!
Lisa, you look so different.
No, Lisa.
I'll turn it up. I don't think
Lisa,
it
you're
is.
so colorful.
There we go.
Lisa, that's your color.
Oh, I just turn it up so loud I hear my own voice. Okay.
Bye, Jay.
Not leaving. I'm just going over there.
Oh, better not leave. Oh, no, you don't.
It's so fun. I would just stand here reading the comments all day. This
I
is
know.
like actually really fun.
Hey, thank you.
So-
I am
Great
new,
comments.
we're new human people.
So, can I have social and preview, please? Dutta, can I have social and preview, please? Thank you. So the way chat room will work, you'll see there are 3 buttons. There's white, blue, and red. You have the power to bring social on air. So when you're talking about something, let's say you see something interesting in one of the chat rooms, and you're like, oh, I want to mention that on air. You can bring it straight to air if you want, simply by hitting the red button. So pick anything in the chat room that you think is interesting. Athena, I'll have you do it first. So just anything that's interesting, and hit the little red button, and look right here.
Okay. Oh, it's moving so fast. Okay.
Yeah, that's the fun part too. If you scroll up, it should stop kind of moving.
Okay. Are you sure you were human?
Right, so now that you've done that, you have to hit the red button. So
Okay.
you need to go, yes, this is something I want to mention, so you have to hit that first. So you hit it, it renders it up on screen automatically, and then you go, I have something from the chat room, and then Dutta will go boop and pop it up on air.
Oh,
So you
cool.
can see he's taken that and blah, 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 blah. Now you can also choose to go blue. Blue is kind of a staging thing. It will not bring it to air, and we will have sometimes moderators for the main topics or times when you're maybe busy that will hit things that are blue. You'll see another
Okay.
tab near the top that says TMRO, somewhere, or TMRO
Yeah,
hosts.
hosts.
TMRO hosts. So if you go into TMRO hosts, anything that's been marked blue or red or any color other than the standard will actually show up in that host room. So Dutta, can you mark something blue for me, please? Or Kat, or anyone else who's just
marked
anything,
this-
I don't care, something that's just not inappropriate. Great, so now you've seen that show up in your room. Now as a host, you can then select the red button. You are always responsible for hitting the red button.
Okay.
We won't hit red unless we're unless you start talking about it and forgot to hit the red button. We won't hit red. When you're about to mention something that happened, you have to hit the red button.
Okay.
So that's the chat room. We will do our best to kind of moderate stuff for the TMRO hosts room. I have found that in news, it's a little bit easier for me to be in the regular room than the hosts room. Then when we're out there for the main topic, I like only the host room because the chat room is gonna talk about whatever the chat room wants to talk about, and they should be able to. But like when you're trying to, especially if you're doing an interview or if you're trying to have a conversation, having this alternate stream of consciousness in the chat room is distracting. So it's nice to have just the moderated stuff that's only of interest to you.
Yeah.
Cool.
But use whatever technique works for you. All right. Oh, we don't have Lisa back.
Try again.
Yeah. All right.
She said she was resetting.
Okay. We'll give it a minute.
Ooh, SciShow. South Park Lisa.
So all of these notes are whatever you put into the rundown.
Okay.
And we've done that. One thing that we didn't really cover is making sure that the media is in a location where it makes sense for you. So I'll kind of show you guys how to do that. And what we'll probably do is do a new story or two and then stop and back out and try it all over again just to make sure that that all works. But I do want to get we'll have the disclaimer, we'll kind of have the cold open, here's what's coming up. We'll have the main open, and then we're going to go kind of into the show. We also need to cover like how to thank the citizens of tomorrow for paying for all of this, essentially. So we're going to work through all of that. The main topic, we're just kind of, I don't want to say we're going to skip over, we'll kind of sit down and be like, here's a pretend topic, and then just have a conversation about whatever you want, it doesn't matter.
Nice.
And then we will emulate another break, and then so we're going to emulate as much of the show as possible.
Okay.
Cool. All about that.
Still trying to get Lisa? She have bandwidth issues, or does she have computer issues?
Sorry, guys.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you are. Lisa.
No, it was my laptop. My laptop just like completely just balked, and then I like turned it off and on again, and then it was like installing updates.
Oh, that's happened to me before.
Convenient.
Yeah.
The worst.
All right, Lisa, so I want to go, what I want to do right now is get through the cold open and into, like from the disclaimer into the cold open, and then like get us into the main open somehow, just to see how that flow will work. Because I don't think anyone's ever practiced the cold open before. So the way this will work is we're going to go to a slate with a neat little sound thing. We're going to come up, and then I need someone to kind of host this section. Lisa, did you want to take that?
I mean, I can do it, but I'm just worried that the latency thing might be an issue.
Let's try it with latency, see what happens, and if it's high latency, then we'll pass it over. But let's try, because you've seen these before, you've done them, well, you've seen them before, so you know kind of what they're supposed to be. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the conversation. My name's Lisa. We have Athena and Jay. We have Dada producing the show. Today in news, we have blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Something
Exactly.
like that.
So she's going to say today in news, and then we'll go, today in news we've got, and then we'll go, Jade, you'll mention one of your news stories. We will normally have a covering shot, which we're not going to have today. And then I just need one sentence, like, I'm going to be talking about, and I forgot what your news stories are.
Got it.
Blueberries wasn't you.
Blueberries. She's
Blueberries.
Cyborg bugs.
Cyborg bugs was fun.
I'm blueberries.
You're blueberries.
She's blueberries.
Oh, you had the.
Oceans are dying.
Which one?
Oceans are dying, and also 18-year-old takes.
I like oceans are dying. So you're going to say, today news, you're going to say, our oceans are dying, and that's all you're going to say. And then you're going to say,
Cyborg bugs.
Cyborg bugs. And then Lisa will take it back from there, something along the lines of, what do you say after that?
Really?
Yeah.
Let's jump
I do
into
this
it.
cold open all the time and you pay no attention.
No,
Plus, we're talking about our
usually
main topic and then comments
yeah.
from last week's show. Stay tuned. Tomorrow's science episode, experiment 1.00 is starting right now.
great. Let's do that. Let's get into the open, and then we'll stop again. Ready? Yeah.
Do it.
Refresh on mute groups.
Let's ignore mute groups for now. Oh. When the open rolls, just remember that your mics. When we roll, remember that your mics are going to be open the whole time, because we don't have mute groups working yet.
Star Wars chick. Okay.
So what about that? Yes. R2D2 trick.
Dada, let me know when you're ready. All right, here we go.
Hello and welcome to the conversation. My name is Lisa. We also have Jade and Athena, and we also have a Dada producing the show. Now today in news we have
The oceans are dying.
And cyborg bugs.
and blueberries could be curing cancer. We'll also be having a main topic today that we haven't yet decided, and comment from last week's show. Stay tuned. Tomorrow's Science Experiment 1.00 is starting right now.
Okay, now from here we need to figure out how we're going to do. Am I up? From here we need to figure out how we're going to do patrons. Actually, that worked all right with the latency. Dutta, were you okay with it?
My only issue was the volume on the roll, and
Yeah, we'll fix that for next
it
week.
Starts off with a vibrant,
We'll fix
harsh
that.
sound.
We'll fix that for next week.
Just
yeah.
making a note.
No, I meant latency.
The latency seems okay, but
Thank you. Sorry about that.
it doesn't have the soft start that Space does, so I can't start it early. Like I start.
Lisa's latency.
Lisa's latency is fine.
Okay.
The Tomorrow Open doesn't have a soft
Yeah,
audio,
I'll fix
audio
that.
start, so I can't
The
start
Opens
early.
music will be fixed for
Okay.
next week. Yeah.
But that affects timing.
I will ramp into it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to get a 6 dB cut on that. We're going to ramp into it, and I'm going to. We like this positioning, right? So I need to switch the name banner around.
Correct.
Okay. So.
1 second.
Yeah. So I can. What?
That needs to kind of ramp in.
Yeah, it's gonna ramp
up until the first beat.
I know. Yeah, it's going to ramp. You're going to 6 dB pad and a ramp into it.
Yep.
Yeah. I got it. Okay, so we're going to do the whole thing one more time. We need to be slower in between. So she's going to toss to you. Wait at 1 beat, like almost uncomfortable. Just wait a beat and then be like, Space News, I've got this one thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Wait 1 beat because, Dutta, do you have more than 1 image you can put up by chance?
Yeah.
Even if they're wrong?
Yeah.
Because he has to switch. He goes to, when you're saying, I'm going to be talking about oceans are dying, he has to cut to an image of the oceans dying.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to move over to Cyborg Bugs. He then has to change his image over to Cyborg Bugs. Lisa, you're going to talk blueberries. Lisa, skip your news item.
Exactly what number is this?
Aw.
Cool. All right. So you want me to just go straight into, and we're talking about a really cool science topic? And
Yeah, otherwise I think it's
comment
awkward. It feels awkward having and I'm doing this and we're doing this. So skip your
Yeah,
news
it was
item.
awkward. I was like, oh, wait, I need to talk again. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So you'll say in news, we've got news item. Then you're going to go into main topic we have not yet decided on. Blah, blah, blah. Tomorrow's science starts right now. We'll do the science intro. When we come back, Lisa, can you take the patrons?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. And then you can probably start speaking ever so slightly earlier than you think you should, by like 1 beat.
Yeah, I did with just then after Athena was talking, like I went straight as soon as I heard her finish.
Yeah.
Like I just went straight into it.
Try to do the same thing. As soon as you see the experiment logo start to fade, I think you should start talking, and we'll see how that latency works out.
Okay, cool.
Cool. For now, Dutta, if you want to just, as soon as you roll the intro, just pull it back by, oh yeah, that's fine. I see what you did. That's fine. All right, let's try the whole thing one more time. And then this time we're going all the way into Patreon, citizen slates. So go all the way into blah, 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 and actually let's try
The
to...
note's already in here yet? Oh, amazing, thank you.
Yep. Let's try to get all the way into our news items and see how far into the show we can get before we have to stop. Does that work?
Okay, cool. So I'm first news after doing patron slates. So do you maybe want to shift that
we effed
order?
that up. Stand by 1.
Because it's going to be weird if I
No,
do all the
you're absolutely right. You should not be the first news. Stand by.
I got it.
You got it? Actually, let's do...
I'm going to have to refresh my thingy.
Actually, Lisa, I show Jade was first?
Yeah, I just changed it.
Okay, cool. And actually, I'm going to change it even more. I'm sorry.
Ow.
Like that.
Does the script thing automatically update, or do I have to like open it again?
It should automatically update. Now that I've made that change, assuming the refresh feature is turned on, it will now show you the updated rundown.
Yeah. So cyborg bugs first.
Actually, I think if I did it right, it should be oceans
B2?
first.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I see oceans
Escape
and then
velocity,
cyborg bugs, and then
Jade,
there was
okay.
lots of scrolling.
There's just no.
and
Oh,
blue
right.
bugs.
So-
B1 is there first, but there's no text next to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is. Let me show you what's going on there. Click here. Click here. All right. Where are we? I think you're B1 now. All right. So if you double click on B1, or anywhere in there, it'll open up this. This is where you can add your own personal notes. You don't actually have to use personal notes, but they're super helpful because now you have personal notes that you can reference for like things.
Exactly.
But more specifically, if you've got something like, I want to see, here's where they're going to be helpful for the shows. Be like, I'm going to generally talk about this. It can either be fully scripted, or so like Space Mike likes to have fully scripted stories, which is totally fine. It works for him. Cool. I hate that. I can't work off of full scripts because I feel like I'm reading my computer and never making eye contact, but he can do it. So I just put like notes of like, I want to touch on this, 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 here are a few numbers that I need to know. The thing that we need in the control room is, I'm going to touch on this, this, and then I want you to go to this image. So just make sure that you see this like image template thing here.
Yeah.
Make sure that that image is where you want it to be. So let's add a few. Do you have some mental notes on this story? Just add a couple. And then I'll show you how to add that object.
There's my notes.
Cool. All right. Now, let's say you wanted to add an image underneath it. So, yep. Now you click on, it's kind of hard to see, but it's like hidden right there. There you go. Insert A. Scroll down. And these are all of the images and objects available for the show. So you're going to be in this. It's broken into images on the top part. And if you keep scrolling, videos on the bottom part. Keep going.
Okay.
So these are all the videos available.
Nice.
You're doing, there is no image for ocean. Oh, no, there is. It's called Dead Reef something. So if you go up here, it'll be science. So you'll know it'll be science and then news, and then you're looking for Dead Reef or whatever that is.
Okay, so there we go. How pleasant.
Yep, and it will do all the code for you. So you need to figure nothing else out. And we will give you the folder that you need to upload that media into. So you upload the object into the folder, you wait 60 seconds, and it shows up in Rundown Creator magically for you.
Okay.
So you don't have to remember anything, you don't have to know any coding or anything else like that. Okay.
Adding stuff to the open.
What do you need done to the open?
Images for
Adding images to the open.
Oh, yeah. For the first few shows, we'll just manually do that. So can you take care of that, or do you need me to take care of it? You're going to need oceans, you're going to need cyborg bug, and that's it, I think. By the way, hello, chat room. Welcome to What It Takes to Build a Show.
Yes. Hello.
Chat room hates my audio. I'm sorry, chat room. I'm in my bedroom doing this right now, so you know.
Yep, I'm good.
Sound great to us.
I know.
All right, one more time from the top. Remember, wait a beat, and we're going to try to do it with the actual proper images this time. Okay. Ready? And then we're going to try to, I don't need you to actually go into full, like, everything on your news story, but just kind of, Lisa, go into Patreon slates, hand it over to the first news story, just make something up if you need to.
Okay.
And then, Lisa, I'll have you transition, hand it to the next news story, make something up if you need to. And then we'll just kind of try to get through a made-up show as best we can up until the first commercial break. Does that work?
Yeah,
Cool.
let's do it.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Okay, let's do it.
Hello and welcome to the conversation. My name is Lisa and I also have an Athena and a Jade with me and Dada producing this show. Now, today in news we have...
The oceans are dying.
And cyborg bugs.
And we'll also be talking about our main topic, which is whether Rule 5 actually exists or not. And we also introduce ourselves to you, the viewers, so you know all about us and why we love science so much. All of that and more coming up on Tomorrow's Science, Experiment 1.00. before we get started today, I want to give a huge shout out to all of the Escape Velocity citizens of tomorrow. These are the people that give us $10 per episode on Patreon or $30 per month on Minds.com. They get their name in the show during all 3 segments, access to our exclusive Patreon-only hangouts, early access to After Dark as soon as it is available, free worldwide shipping in the swag store, a bunch of other things, including access to our exclusive Discord channel. So if you would like to help crowdfund the shows of tomorrow too, head on over to patreon.com or minds.com/TMRO. Now, Jade, there's something going on in the oceans. Can you tell me what is happening with our oceans at the moment?
So oceans aren't having the best time right now. 2 new studies recently emerged that says the oceans are in far worse conditions than we originally thought. One of those events actually has to do with coral bleaching, which previously used to happen only once every few decades, and as of recently as the 70s, it's actually starting to occur once every few years. And unfortunately, what that means for the corals that they're not having time to recover between these bleaching events. And unfortunately, what that means is they are on a fast path to death. As we know, the ocean is actually a pretty integral part of not only the majority of the planet's animals, but also to societies. So this is a big problem, and if we don't solve it, it's not going to be pretty. Wow. Do I keep going?
Nope, we lost Lisa.
Lisa, no!
She's frozen!
She's like, that was so terrible, I can't.
Pausing for dramatic effect.
All right, there we go. We've kind of got you back. All right, keep going as if you weren't frozen.
Cool, did Jade finish?
Yeah.
Now, there's also crazy stuff going on with some bugs, right? Tell me what's going on about that.
Yeah, so it's called cyborg bugs. Scientists are actually implanting electrodes into beetles, moths, even like hissing cockroaches. And it's a really interesting reason as to why they're doing it. They're able to control their movements, and one good reason as to why they're doing this is for search and rescue missions. Like say you have a collapsed building somewhere and it's kind of unsafe for sending humans in or a rescue team. Sometimes they'll release like a swarm of these hissing Madagascar cockroaches that have infrared detectors built into their bodies and can detect where there might be people, because obviously we all give off infrared radiation. And if we're able to detect those people, then we can later send in a search and rescue team. It's also, they're looking into using it for like surveillance on battlefields, which is kind of want to get your guys' opinion on that because that has to do with like, you know, wars and has to do with battles. So that they're looking into putting cameras and microphones like on dragonflies and then like actually kind of surveillancing what's going on, especially on the battlefields. So it's kind of interesting, and the way that they're doing this, so Taiwan and Singapore scientists have been putting the cameras and microphones and other sensors onto dragonflies and roaches. And the way that they do that, sorry guys, a lot of sciencey stuff here. So what they actually do is they stimulate the roach's sensory organs. So what they'll do is they'll start to stimulate maybe the left side, which will signal to the roach or the dragonfly that there might be danger to the left side, which will guide it towards its right side and will make it actually turn right. What they're doing actually with dragonflies is they're sending, instead of electricity, because that can be kind of harsh, they're sending light through the dragonflies to, in a way, actually control where it actually wants to move. Instead of directly controlling its muscles and like the legs with roaches, it's controlling its wings and where exactly it wants to go. So it's interesting because a lot of robotics are based off of insects and different flies. I mean, even helicopters are based off of the movement of dragonflies. So now what they're doing is they're actually just building the robotics into the actual bugs themselves, which is kind of interesting, but I figured that'd be sort of controversial, so I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that also.
I'm into it.
Yeah?
I dig it.
I mean, if there's any excuse for me to not have to squish like a cockroach that's in my room, I mean, that's a good thing. It could be like, oh, unless it's a bad thing, maybe it's a spy cockroach. But yeah. I mean, if it helps people to, you know, get saved from disasters and buildings that have been like destroyed and stuff, I think that's pretty cool. Maybe the war aspect isn't as cool because, you know, war and killing people is not usually the best of things. But I mean, I guess it's like anything. There are good uses and bad uses.
Exactly.
They're dual use technologies. There should be ITAR for robot bugs.
Yeah.
Thanks, Athena.
Yeah.
So I had a story too that I wanted to share with you all, and it's about a little bit of science that's kind of close to my heart. So I wanted to talk about a type of cancer, cervical cancer, so something that could affect me or some of the people close to me. And researchers at the University of Missouri in September of 2017 actually found that blueberry extract might help cervical cancer patients. So, what were they doing? Well, usually cervical cancer treatments, you have to take chemotherapy or radiation, but this doesn't always lead to a successful treatment. So, the blueberry extract they found, it was actually better at making radiation treatment more effective to people that had, to cervical cancer, not to people that had the cancer, but just to the cancer cells themselves. And just to rewind for a second, two things actually need to happen before you get cancer. First of all, the cells have to start growing out of control and form a tumor, but that doesn't actually lead to cancer by itself. Because the second thing that needs to happen for you to get cancer is for those cells that are growing out of control to not be able to die. Usually, even if cells are growing out of control, there's a timer on how long they can live. And so eventually they will commit cell death, which is also called apoptosis. But if those cells lose the genes that tell them to die, then they just don't die. They keep growing and not dying, which is what cancer is. So what did the University of Missouri actually do? Well, they ended up taking human cervical cancer cells and they made 4 groups. One group was called the control, which means they didn't do anything to it. They just left it how it is, so you can compare everything else to it. Another group had just the radiation therapy. Another group just had the blueberry extract, and one final group had both the radiation therapy and the blueberry extract. And so they found that radiation decreased the cancer cells by approximately 20%, which we know that radiation therapy can kill cancer cells. But interestingly, the cell group that received only blueberry extract had a 25% decrease in cancer, like just by giving them the blueberry extract by itself.
Wow.
But then when you mix the two together, you get a decrease of 70% in the cancer cells. So the blueberries made the radiation therapy even more effective. And this isn't the only time that this specific research group has used natural products to boost cancer treatment. So previously, they were looking at prostate cancer cells, and they found that a compound called resveratrol, it's found in red wine and in blueberries, and it can be used to be a radiation sensitizer for prostate cancer cells. So, I mean, should we all start drinking red wine and eating blueberries? Well, yes. Maybe, but to be fair, this study was in a lab in controlled conditions, and before it even gets to treating humans, first they have to test it in animals, and then they have to do it in human clinical trials, and then it has to go through all of that regulation before it might actually be a treatment. Plus, disclaimer, I'm not a health professional. You guys aren't health professionals, so anything health related, you should see a certified health professional and talk to your doctor and whatnot about treatments that are the best for you. So, cool. And we have some more news stories. So I need to scroll down. Whoops. So, Jade, tell me about a teenager that won a really cool prize for explaining some science.
Yeah, so this story as well is actually very close to my heart. 18-year-old Hillary Diane Andalis, she's a Filipina student, won the 2017 Breakthrough Junior Challenge for this amazing video of her so elegantly explaining relativity and reference frames, basically using pickup trucks, Usain Bolt, and she just ties it together really, really well. And it's like less than 3 minutes, and yet you're so kind of informed. And she actually took home about $250,000 in scholarship money. $100,000 of that went towards building a lab in her school. And yeah, you guys need to watch the video. It's pretty amazing, as you can see right here. The graphics are wonderful. And she's actually known for making really awesome videos that explain different types of scientific concepts very simply, very elegantly, and just very fun with a lot of really kind of intriguing images to go along with it. And obviously that ties in, you know, relatively close to what we try to do here. So seeing not only a woman in STEM, but, you know, a minority female in STEM kicking butt is just always something that really makes me happy inside. And in her speech when she was being congratulated, she was trying to encourage more women to pursue STEM careers, to not be intimidated by science, and to just go out and prosper.
I think that's really cool. Like you said, Jade, what we try and do here is kind of make science more digestible and easily accessible to everyone and kind of translate it into everyday language. And I think that with young people getting better at having those skills and being able to actually explain science, it's going to be better for all of us. So
Absolutely.
props to her. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. I was like, what was I doing at 18? Not that.
Nope.
Athena, something's happening on the ISS, right? What's going on up there?
Yes. So astronauts aboard the International Space Station have found a way to classify space microbes. They've been able to actually found a way to identify microbes in space. This means they can identify disease of any DNA-based specimen and diagnose and treat ailments of astronauts in real time, which is pretty incredible. I would hate to be on the International Space Station and get a cold or get sick in some way. So this is huge not only for in space, those that are doing research, but also for collecting samples on other planets. I mean, come on, we're going to become an interplanetary species, so this is amazing that we're able to do this. So astronaut Peggy Whitstone aboard the ISS, the way that she actually did this was by removing bacteria that's actually growing in space on the space station and put it into test tubes. And after this, the cells were then analyzed for both DNA sequencing, which this is the first time either of these things were even done in space. And then for you guys that actually don't even know what DNA sequencing is, it's literally just the analysis of what a DNA strand is made up of. And to double check on the data results, what they ended up doing was they took the specimens that they had collected in space and they did send them down to Earth to analyze on the labs that are actually on the ground. And each time the results turn out to be accurate, which is pretty cool. So it's a huge moment for microbiology, both here on Earth also. I think it's going to make a huge breakthrough in medical technology. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think it kind of breaks down also into the MinION, which is a device that's used for DNA sequencing, and the polymerase chain reaction. For those of you guys that don't know what that is, if none of you guys ever took maybe organic chemistry, it's a method that's used in sequencing, which actually replicates the samples to determine what exactly they are. This process can amplify it, meaning it can make many, many, many more samples of the DNA strand. And through this, scientists can cross-reference the samples and work towards a treatment or even a cure. So we thought that was pretty exciting, and I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Yeah, I thought that's really cool. Back when I was still at uni, some of the experiments I was doing in my biology labs were doing DNA sequencing and PCR, polymerase chain reaction. So it's really cool to see all of that happening on the space station, because usually with those experiments, you use tiny little amounts of fluid, like things like 10 microliters, which is like 10 to the -6 of a liter. So that kind of crazy amounts of fluid. And in space, like when water wants to kind of make itself into a ball in space because the surface tension in microgravity kind of pulls liquids into a sphere shape, it's really hard to kind of do those microbiology and molecular biology experiments because all of your tiny little drops of liquid is trying to get into a ball rather than do the reactions as they're supposed to. So it's really cool that they figured this out in space and kind of got through that kind of technology thing that was holding them back. So I'm really excited to see what kind of experiments they use that for in the future. But
Nice.
Jade, tell me what else is. Oh no, this is my story now. So engineers at the University of California in San Francisco have actually hacked cell biology to make 3D shapes from living tissue in a study that they published in December of last year, which is still super recent. It was like 28th of December. I think this is really, really cool because you're probably thinking like, okay, 3D printing, we already know how to do that. And there's been some stories in the news of people using cells and printing cells to create artificial body parts to put inside people. So there was one story a while ago of people that made 3D printed a windpipe, a trachea, and then they made a scaffold, and then they put the person's actual cells onto that scaffold and grew them a new windpipe. So we've had that technology for a little while, but the problem with that is it's not actually what happens in nature. So you don't just get the structure and then put the cells in that structure and that's how they become. They don't start off that way. They go through many different steps of development. So an embryo in the womb, it goes through different folding and twisting and turning to fold itself into the exact shape that it needs to be, and to make sure that each cell that's in that tissue is in exactly the right place. Now, this folding is due to a special kind of cell called a mesenchymal cell, and they're special because they can actually tug on the surroundings around them. And so when they tug or pull on something around them, then they pull themselves, but they also pull all the cells connected to them. And when they pull, it creates a mechanical strain on the cells, which is really important for those cells to get the right signals to know when to continue developing. But as well as creating those mechanical forces, it pulls the tissue into new shapes. So like in this image here, it's a good way to kind of visualize what's happening. So in nature, in an embryo, you would start off with a sheet of cells like on the left, and then the tug cells would pull on different parts of that shape to pull it into that kind of bowl shape there, but also create the strain and stresses that you can see like in the bottom layer of that image. So if you wanted to do that just by normal 3D printing, you could 3D print a bowl shape and then put the cells on top to make a bowl shape of cells, but then they wouldn't have that mechanical strain that they would have in nature. So the team at the University of California, San Francisco, figured out a new way to do this. They took the tugging cells, the mesenchymal cells, and printed them in a particular pattern around regular cells, like on a sheet. So they had a sheet, they put the cells down in a pattern, and they figured out a bunch of different patterns that over time folded into different 3D shapes that had all the correct mechanical strains on the cells. And there's a really good quote here from the senior author of the study, Professor Zev Gartner. He said, "Our sense is that you can't print a final living structure directly with a bioprinter. You need to print a template that will evolve over time through a kind of artificial development, or what you might call 4D bioprinting." So 4D, including time, which is what you can see in this really, really cool animation here. This is actual footage of the cell structures that formed during through time. So on the left of each bit, you can see what they wanted to create in their model. So they probably CAD modeled up what they wanted, and then they figured out the pattern to lay down the cells. And then on the right-hand side of each column is what actually happened over a certain number of hours to create that folding or twisting or turning in the actual cells themselves. So they actually pulled on things around them to create strains and pull themselves into that kind of shape. I think that's really, really cool. But we also have this even cooler image. This one is actual footage of the cells and their shapes. So each frame in this image is made from taking a slice of the 3D structure. So you take one slice in focus, and then you focus on the next bit higher up and higher up and higher up, and you join them together, and you make a little film out of it. So this is actually moving up through the image, moving up through the different layers, and you can see the 3D structure there. I think that's really, really, really cool. But anyway, what is this all going to do? How is this going to save the world? What they want to do is improve the way that we create tissues outside of the body. So taking someone's cells and growing the cells into a structure. And the reason that that's important is if we can grow these structures more like how they form in nature, like in development or out in the body, so that they are getting the correct strains and forces on them, then they're going to react better to medicines and treatments than they would if we just kind of faked the shape that they needed to be. And if we have that close to nature, then we can test treatments and drugs and medicines for individual people and see if that works on the cells that we took outside the body. And if that works, then we can personalize medicine and make treatments better for everyone on the planet. So that's our last news story for now, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking on our main topic for this week's show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. So, am I? Thank you. So, Lisa, actually, for the whole group, we need a commercial break. Mm-hmm. We do the calendar for space, but that doesn't really apply here. Do we have ideas as to what you want for next week? Or, I mean, if we have nothing, I can just roll the science promo, but I would prefer not if I don't have to. Mm-hmm. Something to noodle. I don't need an answer right now. All right, so I think that was good. Dutta, can you check and see if you have an updated open really quick? Do a library refresh and then just try playing it.
People are saying put the launch calendar instead. Lunch calendar.
The lunch calendar?
Ooh, I'm okay with the lunch calendar.
Monday spaghetti.
It's the real news here.
Are you expecting this to be lower volume?
I expect it to be lower volume. Is that better? All right, Lisa, I want to test getting into the intro, so we don't need to do the whole cold open, but I'll have Donna roll the disclaimer so we can get into the proper sequencing for automation, and then I just want you to do the stay tuned, tomorrow science episode, blah, 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 starts now. We need to make sure that the technology side of this is fixed now. And you should have updated banners that coordinate with the proper naming. So does that make sense, Lisa, what I'm trying to do?
Do you want me to do the whole cold open?
No, so we have to do the disclaimer slate because our automation on our side requires that we go through that process. So you're going to see the disclaimer, and then once it comes back up on you, I just need the very end of the cold open where you toss to the regular open. So I just...
Cool, no worries.
Yep, cool. All right, you ready for that, Dada?
All that and more coming up on this episode of Tomorrow Science Experiment 1.01.
That work? Much better? Great, thanks. Okay, so the next step, that was awesome. So the next step is you'll have approximately 30 to 45 seconds to move this way.
Okay.
Am I shifting my camera?
Please, rotate 90. This part's going to be short. We don't need to simulate a whole entire segment that doesn't exist.
Okay. Neat.
We do need to decide on a topic for next week, though.
Say it again, Lisa?
We need to choose a topic for next week. We don't have one yet.
Yeah.
I suppose you don't need 3 chairs.
No, we only need 2.
2, yeah. 1 on each end, maybe? I don't want to block Lisa.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, put Lisa in the middle.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
Yay! Oh, I like your sandals. Oh, I miss mine.
Oh.
I've had them for 20 years. They're like all black.
I'm also going to work on my obvious tech issues for next week. I don't know how, but I'll try.
We'll have issues. Don't you worry. It's all right, though.
It's the fun part.
We'll work
Yeah, this
through
is
them and, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fun living in a share house and having to record live to the internet when your housemates are asleep.
All right, that's happy. We'll make this prettier for next week, I think. I'm not a super huge fan of how we can see those legs on camera too on the TV. All right, Dada, do you want to roll the commercial one more time? And then we'll come, so here's what we'll do. Lisa, you good just taking us in and out of segments for now?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll have, for the first show or two, we'll just kind of have Lisa run everything. But if you, I'm hoping that we'll be able to trade off that role between everyone. Mm-hmm. So just kind of pay attention to it, and then we'll hand off, and you just make it uniquely your own. Like she opens the show totally differently than I do. Mm-hmm. I do it better.
Oh, yeah, right.
There it is.
Everyone vote.
You don't want that tighter?
Yeah, a little tighter would be fine. It's off center. It's off center. So anyhow, but we'll have Lisa do it for now. Notes from the last segment before we get into this one. I like the conversationalism. So talking about the news stories was great. I think we need more media. So
yeah.
I would say that if you're speaking for, this is just very broad strokes, right? But for every 15 seconds worth of you saying something, we should have a different image or video. Mm-hmm. If it's video, it actually doesn't have to change, right? So if you have video because you get a new image every 129.97th of a second, videos are fine, right? So if you have a video that covers the whole thing, that's fine. But if you have images, which is usually what we end up with, try to figure out approximately where you think 15 to 20 seconds worth of speech will be, mm-hmm. and then have that many images in the rundown so that we can kind of cut to them. So what we tried to do is have covering shots so you can look at your notes and not have to look at the camera directly. right? And that's what those images serve as, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It also keeps it interesting, right? So that we're not constantly on that one camera. Where, you know,
just staring at us. Talking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. We want to see what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
So every 15-ish second, that's not an exact number, again, broad strokes, but so more media would be great. If you just, for now, if you just have URLs, the thing to remember, the show's in 4K, so do your best to find like high resolution images as opposed to like teeny tiny ones, because then we have to blow it up. And then we do image credits for everything. So if you wouldn't mind, like, where do you want the image to come from and who is it credited to?
Got it.
That would be great, because we don't want to just steal people's stuff.
Okay, and there'll be a folder for that, you said, right?
That is correct.
Okay,
So what we will eventually do, we're not going to do this right now, but eventually you will be responsible for your own media, where you will find your own pictures, you will put them in the thing, you will put the credit on them, and you will drop that image into a folder, which will then show up in Rundown Creator. For now, in Rundown Creator, where you want that image to be, just put the URL of the image, and I will go through and I will pull out those images and make them work.
Okay.
Put the URL in a
And if somebody needs like an explanation, I know Lisa, in your story you had your explanation about how your cancer story with the blueberries. There was a long explanation before you got into any meat of that actual story, which related to your image. Give me something that kind of relates or is somewhat related to cover that long explanation, so that we're not staring at Lisa animated talking about a thing for a minute and a half, and Jade and Athena are just looking at the camera.
Oh, that was the other note.
Yeah.
You don't have to stare at the camera. Imagine Lisa's actually in the room. That's why she's on a TV, right? So when Lisa's talking, feel free to look at her. It's slightly awkward. Yeah, exactly. That sort of applies in here, but to a lesser extent in here, you have to do a little bit of TV magic and not turn your body quite as far as you naturally would to look at Lisa. But yeah, so feel free to not look straight. You don't have to constantly look at the camera. If Lisa's speaking, turn to Lisa.
Okay.
Athena, if you're speaking, everyone turn to Athena. As if like right now, you're looking at me when I'm talking. Same exact thing in the room. It's a human conversation going on. Other notes, Detta, for the first segment? Did I lose him? Oh, no, you're right there.
No, other than what I sent you.
Oh, right. Those are fixed now, right?
Discord, yeah.
Yep, that's all. Oh. Okay, cool. I haven't looked at Discord yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
I do have one question.
Oh, yeah, we should get you both on Discord as well, because that's where all the magic for the show happens. Yes.
I did copy and paste the video URL, but I put it in the script. I realized instead of, I probably just should have emailed it to you directly.
Oh, no.
So while I'm talking, I'm like, oh, wait, there's the video, and it's an insect moving with electrodes in it. But
I see.
I don't think I sent it to you separately.
You don't actually have to email me any of it. If it's in the script, we should be fine, but make sure it's broken apart, so it's not in the middle of a paragraph.
Right.
If that makes sense. If it's in the middle of a paragraph, I'm not going to see it, because all I'm doing is I'm scanning through really quick to make sure we have content there, and if there's a URL in the middle, I'm just not going to perceive it.
Right.
So maybe like 2 dashes and an error, like something that's like, hey, dumbass, your stuff is here.
I wrote WTF really big, but then I realized that probably is what threw it off.
Oh,
because it's WTF and then it's HTTP www. But that's my own bad.
Oh, I do remember that. I don't know if I was able to pull that particular video down.
Yeah,
I don't think I had
an issue or something. But.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I had an easy way to download the clip.
Okay.
Like if it's on YouTube, I have software that'll pull it. I could have.
So I should always do YouTube if I want a video?
YouTube's easiest,
Okay.
but we also have to make sure that we're cleared to broadcast them, right? So we can't just steal other people's work.
Yeah.
If it is natively on YouTube, the way YouTube licensing works is I can generally just use it, but it gets a little bit trickier when it's like, especially if it's like a news site. On that particular site, that was a Flash video file, and it was moderately difficult to pull down. But I didn't tell you that either, which I normally would have done for a real show. And actually, this is where that Discord channel comes into play, because as we're building the show, we use Discord, which is, are you familiar? No?
Nope.
Do you know Slack at all?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Do you know Slack? No? Okay.
It's like instant messenger, but it's just for us, and when we control access to it.
Right. So it's like,
Huge group chat.
Giant group chat.
Yeah.
It's like Slack, but not Slack.
Okay.
All right. So I will send you both the invite URLs. Let me know what username you sign up with, and then I will make sure that you're added into the Escape Velocity channel. That is where I'm like, hey, this is something I'm thinking of, and then everyone tells me no.
And then you do it anyway.
And then I do it anyway. That's correct. Yep. That's basically how that will go down. It's where the show is born, essentially, right? A lot of it happens in the escape velocity channel. Also, we have its own science channel in there as well, so you can just talk science nerdy things if you want to in the general.
Okay.
All right. So I think that was actually a very, very, very good first segment. I think we've got the technical stuff worked out. I think we have the timing worked out, and I think everyone knows kind of how that's going to play out. Any comments this direction, like questions, comments, concerns?
I do have one as far as, like I'm used to kind of just like doing a monologue and saying it all at once, and I was trying to break it a little bit and be like, okay, should I like have conversation now with like you guys about my topic within those 2 minutes or with the group chat? So I was breaking a little bit and been like, because I was trying to think, should I go on the group chat, or is that something that's fine, or do you want it more just kind of like monologue?
No, that was good, Athena, but I was just not cutting in and like talking when I probably should have done conversation there because like latency. But yeah.
Yeah, everything that Lisa does takes about a second. I will answer that two completely different ways, which is I believe this show's power comes from the conversation that we can have with the people watching live.
I agree.
That's what makes us special and different. So I do not like monologues. I like the conversations. I like the spontaneity of it. And if you want to stop midway through to have a conversation, then you stop midway through and have a conversation. I also understand that news is different. So when you're talking about a news item, it's usually like, here are a bunch of facts about this thing, and you kind of have to get through those facts.
Exactly.
So what's generally worked fairly well is you get through a good chunk of those facts, and kind of what Lisa did was, I made a mental note of, these are 3 things that you said that I thought were interesting. I'm going to mention one of them, and then maybe you can mention another one, but kind of have that conversation after you get through the initial high-level stuff.
Got it.
What's really great is, this takes time to practice and will not happen right away. But what really works well is not giving all of the information up front, doing kind of the high level stuff, and then kind of someone kind of bounces and says, oh, this was a thing that was interesting, and being like, having the ability to go, right, additional information on that is blah, 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 blah. And you dive down deeper into certain segments that people kind of found interesting. So you kind of have a little bit of a back and forth going on. And sometimes it'll be the chat room actually saying things like, oh, hey, something, something, something. What is the chat room saying?
Pretty brilliant stuff.
Sorry, I made it red. But it's
I don't like monologues.
I don't like monologues. Benjamin rant in the middle of the news thinking about them.
Yeah, I'll do that from time to time.
And yes, this is a fanny pack TARS. It's not a purse.
Oh my God, it's really
Sorry,
cool
someone
looking.
asked. It actually was a makeup bag, and I attached my own little loop to the side. So
It's really cool looking material.
thank you. I just forgot to take it off, actually. But someone asked.
The other note I had about news is we need to make sure that all of your content as presented is your unique words, your unique take on it.
Oh yeah.
No copying, pasting, and just reading somebody else's stuff. I'm not accusing. I'm just making sure that that's clear.
Cool.
Yep. Got it.
So to answer your question, it's whatever feels right to you. And I think that feeling will change over time. It's going to be easier to monologue at first, but then I think as everyone gets more comfortable with the process and the people in the chat room and everything else, I think there's going to be be casual, be fun, have fun. This is not a serious, stuffy show. We make mistakes, we have fun on air, and we leave them in the archive. So, because we are human, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so, I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully it does.
Yeah.
Other questions about the first segment, or comments, questions, concerns, issues? Seemed like it flowed fairly well. I mean, I realize this is all fake for now, but for a fake show, we're doing really quite well on the first one.
See how the real one goes.
Well, actually, if this were the real show, this would be airable. We'd have to do a bunch of edits, but yeah, we can. No, hang on. To be fair, we have to do a bunch of edits on the show that we just are in our 11th orbit for the one that we did this morning. So
ran the open like 5 times.
Yeah. Actually, you may have done fewer opens. I think you did fewer opens than we did for space. All right, let's roll the calendar. Let's come up and let's do a fake topic. Someone give me a fake topic that we can talk about for like 2 minutes.
Does Rule 5 exist?
Does Rule 5 exist? You have to explain what it is and talk about rule number 5. That's perfect. Let's do it. That'll go to calendar.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't give up or quit or fall for little fashion lies. Filled with thoughts
And welcome back to Tomorrow. So before we get started in our main topic for this show, I would love to give a huge shout out to the people that make these shows happen, specifically our Escape Velocity citizens. These are the people that give us $10 per episode on Patreon or $30 per month on Minds.com. They get their name in the show doing all 3 segments, access to our exclusive Patreon-only hangouts, early access to After Dark, early access to view down copies of the Rundown, free worldwide shipping in the swag store, a bunch of all different cool rewards, including access to our Escape Velocity Discord channel where our new show ideas are born. So we also have our Orbital citizens as well. These people give us $5 per episode on Patreon or $15 per month on Minds.com. They get a name in the show during the 2nd and 3rd segment, early access to After Dark, early access to view down copies of the Rundown, free worldwide shipping in the swag store, all the rewards in the world, mostly. So if you would like to help crowdfund the shows of tomorrow too, head on over to patreon.com or minds.com/TMRO. Now, our topic for this experiment show, I thought we could do something a little bit close to tomorrow's heart, and that is discuss the science behind a specific rule of tomorrow. And that rule is rule number 5, which is apparently that Ben is always right. So I wanted to throw to you both and see your opinions and what the evidence is on that rule. Is Ben always right? Athena and Jade, help me out here. What do you think?
Oh, man. I don't know about you two ladies, but I, for one, have stayed up countless nights pondering this, staring at the cottage cheese in my ceiling, which I know I should get replaced. But you know what? It's definitely something that's going to follow and haunt me the rest of my life, just because I cannot come up with any sort of real decision as to the validity of rule number 5. I feel even weird just saying it out loud. You know.
Athena, what about you?
I don't think I have enough evidence to prove or disprove that he is always right. So to have enough evidence would be to live his whole life. So I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon, except for on Saturdays. So I guess I'll collect as much data and evaluate over time. So right now I cannot give a finite answer.
I like that.
Sorry.
I respect
my
that.
way of thinking.
Let's take it back though to the scientific method, right? So if you want to turn something that you find in science into a law or into a rule, I mean, what's that kind of process that you have to go through to make that finding or data into a law? Like how does that work?
Mm-hmm. Observation, objectivity, lots of other great words that start with ob. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, collecting evidence and data. Yeah.
Experimentation. Repeatedness of.
Yeah,
sure,
maybe we
should
like test them on stuff.
Ooh.
Like give them like color blindness glasses or something, and like see if it actually has a different effect. Well, but then that would just be a matter of opinion. I don't know if that would really be accurate. Tell them this guy's actually.
But that's a good point,
color.
though. Like,
yeah.
What differentiates opinion and like scientific fact? Like, what do you have to take into account there? Is it just what the data says, or do you need to like get the consensus of other people in the scientific community as well?
Got it. Like evidence versus interpretation, and then what that could potentially mean. It's funny because I think that particularly within science, and I know this was mentioned a few weeks ago, but you know, main society kind of thinks, oh, science, you're supposed to just be facts, you're supposed to be just right. But even within the scientific community, there's a lot of dichotomy. There's a lot of interpretation of different facts, and it's like even facts aren't really that facty nowadays. And if you want to get like real creepy with it, I mean, you even look at like quantum mechanics.
I was going to say that, quantum mechanics.
Because it's like, oh my God, just looking at what's going on in front of you changes what's going on in front of you. I mean, it doesn't get more bonkers than that.
Yeah, and even too, like mathematics a lot of times is used kind of in a way to prove certain theories without actually observing it. And that's something in itself. Like I've never physically been able to shrink myself down to like an atomic, scale and been able to observe like quantum entanglement or quantum like mechanics. A lot of those different things, physically seen it myself personally. But based on the laws and all the different, mathematics that have gone into it, I feel like is a huge thing that kind of makes a difference. So I think like at the end of the day, like with science, one thing we have to understand is that it's always evolving, and that. it will be fact, and it is possibly fact, but that can always evolve into like, you know, fact subcategory A, fact subcategory B, where it has like other, I don't know, other factual stuff to it.
Exactly.
I guess.
And I think it goes back to the young lady we were speaking of earlier, you know, when she was just describing reference frames. It's like, is this number 6 or is it number 9? Well, it's both, you know, depending on like how you're looking at it, where you are. That was a cool little tie back.
I love that. Yeah.
Like
Good transition. Yeah. What about you, Lisa?
Yeah. What about you? You are an expert at rule number 5.
I mean, I think you guys have kind of hit the nail on the head there. It comes down to having observations, and so as well as having the observations and the data and checking that data through statistics and things like that, you take that data and then you also need to show it to the scientific community and get the feedback of other people in the science community and get them, you know, peer reviewing, like people that know their stuff, looking at your work and making sure that you've done it right. So, I mean, I think we should take a consensus now around the room and go with what people think based on the evidence that they've experienced and that they've personally observed. And maybe we can go around the room and see what you guys think, and then we'll have our answer. So, Athena, do you want to start us off? Do you think Rule 5 is always right?
No. Sorry, Ben. I'm like, well, I mean,
it's completely personal.
That's one no. And Jade, what do you think?
I think that rule number 5 lies in superposition. I think that it is both simultaneously valid and invalid, and it kind of just depends on the quantum creepiness going on around us, or how he's feeling that day, or if he's eaten. You know, you never know.
Okay, and I think that we just simply don't have enough data. So with all that in mind, with our scientific peer review here of rule number 5, the important thing in science is that even if you don't want to, even if the data is still out, you can't call anything a law until you're absolutely certain. Even Einstein's stuff with relativity and gravitational waves, we have a lot of data, but it's still not law yet because we need to be 100% certain. And so with that, I'm going to say that Rule 5 does not yet exist. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have an introduction to all the new members of Tomorrow's Science so you can get to know us and the science that we like best. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I think the comment from the chat room from Kay McCoy sums that up brilliantly, which was something along the lines of, you took a silly in-joke and turned it into a funny and engaging discussion about actual science. This is going to be an epic show. Totally agree. That was incredible. Yeah, that was absolutely incredible. It was. I know it was a fake thing, but holy crap, that was awesome. All right, so notes on that segment. When we're doing the introduction, so when we're getting into the segment, this will be your primary camera, like before we get to Patreon slates. Then whoever's hosting will introduce the topic. Once that happens, either one of two things: either the cameras no longer exist, so stop looking here because you don't want to, and just look at each other, and then we will pick the correct camera. Or if you want a monologue, I mean, you really want to like drive home a point and bring it right to the audience, look directly at your camera. You'll see the red tally light somewhere up here. Yeah. So you'll note, there we go. So this camera is now live. I can tell because it's got a red tally light. You can also kind of once in a while kind of glance out of the corner of your eye and see what's on the right side of the screen, see if you're on the correct camera. But again, once we're after that main introduction point, this camera's dead to you until the very, very end, if that makes sense. He will still use the camera, but don't look at it. So there, just look at each other, have a again, it's all about conversation. Have a conversation, look at your chat room, look at each other, whoever's talking, just don't look at the cameras themselves.
Lisa did a great job.
Yes, Lisa did do a great job.
She can't hear me, so that's why I need you to. Thank you.
I can't hear Lisa.
Oh wait, we can't hear you.
Hang on, his mute groups, it's us. Go again.
I think you guys did really great. I loved that. I mean, I took something and then you guys just ran with it. Like, I didn't even think you guys knew what Rule 5 was, but I was just like, hey, let's talk this science. And then, like, we spun it around to, you know, talk about what makes a law in science or not, which I thought was really cool. And you guys had some great insights. And I just loved Jade and Athena, like, you guys bouncing back off each other and then, like, throwing to me. That's really useful, too, because I don't want to interrupt a conversation going on between you guys. Mm-hmm. So if you say like, hey, Lisa, like, what do you think? That's a great point for me to be able to jump in and not speak over the top of you. So thanks for doing that as well.
Nice.
I apologize. I didn't mean to insinuate that Lisa did a great job and you guys didn't. You did a great job. However, my thought process was Lisa did a really good job of making eye contact with people who don't exist in her realm.
Oh yeah. That's the other thing to remember. When she's looking at you, she's looking at a wall.
Yeah, poor thing. Yeah, she's looking off into a closet or something. I'm not sure what's going on. But no,
I'm in my
your
closet
eye
right now.
contact was ridiculously perfect and natural to the point where I was taking pictures and it really did look like you guys were looking at each other.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
We'll have to
really
send you
impressive.
pictures of ourselves. They put up on your
I know,
walls
then
or
put it on
something.
your, like,
yeah.
Put on.
Or Build-A-Bear, teddy bear. I used to love those.
That's actually, well,
I made one of those for you.
Lisa, we have, what the hell? Lisa, we have a Build-A-Bear workshop here at Disney if you want to come back.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That excitement.
Yeah, exactly, as Kat said, not for much longer, so you got to get here soon.
I looked up the flights. I can be in studio next week. It's just going to cost $1.6K US dollars.
Yeah,
I can do it.
All right, other than that, I think that was a really great segment. I was kind of blown away by it because you took a faux thing and turned it into something real. I'm seriously astounded by that. Holy crap. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So those are my, nailed it. Those are my only notes for that segment. You guys have anything? Oh, and this will come with time, but interaction with the chat room. That would be more of a real topic kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's harder to do on a fake topic. But yeah, as people are saying things, we definitely want to bring that chat room into the show. Again, it's what sets us apart, our live interaction with them. They're why we're here.
Right.
Cool. It is hard to do.
I could just sit
Jake,
here.
do you know how to to mark the things in the chat? I'm pointing to my cat. Have you guys been shown pressing the colors and how that works?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I want, where did it go?
Oh, that's the other thing that's helpful is when you find things, if you mark them as blue, just as I need to remember this, because things start to scroll by quickly.
Yeah.
Mark it as blue, and then when you're like, oh, that thing, you can just pop over to the host's room, and you'll see everything that you marked in blue. It'll still be a lot of stuff, but it's a lot less stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to do that.
The white one that Kat and I were talking about that earlier, she asked if white was still necessary. Sorry.
What does white
do? The thing is that you go, oh, that Hell Dusk said a really good thing, or Smokey Jers said a really cool thing. You're like, oh, crap. I hit blue on that, and I didn't mean to do that. Hit white, and it kind of blanks it out.
Oh, okay.
So it's an erase.
So what I think I'm going to do, I think I'm
it.
going to ask Colton to make a change, and he hasn't heard me ask of this change yet. But I think what I think makes sense is I would like to have red, blue, and yellow, and then what we can do is, and actually we may need another color like red, blue,
white
yellow.
Is still nice for blanking it out.
Well, but not that. So red, blue, yellow, green, something. So you get your own color. So each person has their own color to work with. So if you find something you like, mark it as yellow. You mark it as blue. You mark it.
So that we differentiate.
Right. That way you can see your own stuff. Right.
I see.
But then if you want to blank it back out, you'd simply hit the color again. So if you marked it as green, you're like, I didn't mean to do that. You just simply hit green again. You will undo it.
Cool.
That would be my desirement there. Red always needs to be go back to air.
If I type something, does it send to the group chat?
It does.
Ooh.
Yep.
Well, I'm in your account, so.
That's okay. That's okay. Everyone knows.
I was like, do you know your password? No? Great, you're just going to
And you can feel free to chat with the community while you're live as well, especially if someone else is monologuing. I tend to do that a lot, so Carrie Ann says stuff to people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
I think I see my friends in here. Victoria Verone.
Do we have extra devices or surface eyes or whatever? That
You'll bring computers next week, laptops?
Yes.
Yep, cool.
Or,
Yes.
Yep,
yes.
great.
I'm excited for that.
All right, let's kind of do a full.
I have one more question.
Yes.
So right now, my housemates are awake now because it's now a decent hour on a Sunday. Can you hear any of their background music or anything like that? Is that coming through on my audio?
Not for me, but I'm only wearing an IFB. Dada, do you hear it?
They have some music playing and they're kind of just making noise and stuff.
Nope.
I got nothing.
Nothing.
Amazing. Cool. I was worried about that.
All right, I think why don't we just do a really fast faux last segment. I don't think we actually need to go into the real introductions. I think what I'd like to do is just do the introduction. That is a note that I forgot. Lisa, the Patreon, the citizen slates, shorter, more concise.
Yeah, they were way too long.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so we've already introduced escape velocity, and at this point we've already introduced orbital. So you can just be like, here's escape velocity, $10 and higher. Here's orbital, $5 and higher. Here's suborbital, $5 and higher. And then like pick 2 things that are interesting. Like $5 higher,
Cool.
or blah, blah, blah. More information here. We try to keep it like, we'll call it 20 seconds or less for the whole group of things.
Yeah, I realized I was going way too long, but then I'd already committed.
Yeah, I will say one of the hardest things of the show is getting in and out of each segment, and those slates are part of that. It's really awkward to like stop and start conversations. So it takes practice. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I can recommend is practice. All right, let's roll the science. Dada, do you have the science promo handy?
Wouldn't we be rolling space in this segment? Space promo?
I know, but I don't want to take 2 minutes right now.
Oh, okay.
All this is in Rundown Creator, right? If we wanted to run through within the next like few months, if we're gonna be bouncing around, to run through the actual like the space pods and, well, not space pods, but citizens and
Yeah,
like,
so
escape
if you,
velocity, everything is gonna be, that's
Yeah.
like what's here right now is going to be also later on Rundown Creator. Like I could see it in a week or something for the following show.
Oh yeah, it's in the
so I can rehearse through it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So what we'll do after this show is we'll create episode 101, and it will be based on the template for this show. So it'll have a bunch of like, kind of like you saw for this show, where there's a bunch of blank stuff in it that you had to fill in. Some of the blank things are those citizen slates. So when you open it up, you'll actually be able to see, oh, here's what all of these things are.
Cool.
That will exist immediately. It already exists, so you'll be able to immediately review it. You can also always go back to the previous shows. So like if you want to look at previous shows rundown and see what did or didn't work or what we changed, you can go through that as well.
Okay.
How you doing?
And typically for as soon as one show is posted, either Ben or myself goes through and creates the template for the next show, cleans out the folders so you can start working on all of your content for the next show immediately.
One change I want to make this year, Dada, is instead of cleaning out the folders, I'd like to archive them off Casper, but somewhere else on Google Drive, so we always have that media handy.
Copy. We can discuss offline.
Yeah, I don't know where to do it yet, but I don't want to delete anything anymore if we can avoid it.
Okay.
All right, let's do the last segment. So Lisa, I'd like to just we'll bring it back with you. We'll do these citizen slates. You can each say 1 sentence about yourself. How about that? That's all we're going to do. And then we're going to go, cool, that's our show, and then toss it to the, we'll have Lisa toss it to the close, and that will be that. That work?
Am I tossing to After Dark as well? Like, in reality, would there be After Dark after this?
Unknown. So for now, do not toss to After Dark. I think that is what will happen, but I don't know yet. So the current video does not toss to After Dark, so just say, that's our show, we look forward to seeing you next month. That work?
No worries.
Cool.
Works for me.
Let's start with the science promo and then go from there.
Science. It both draws us together and tears us apart. Brings discoveries to cure us and threaten us. It is neither good nor evil. It is what we decide to make of it. There is so much more to learn, and we are curious. Together, let's explore the science of tomorrow.
Welcome back to Tomorrow's Science. Now, before we get started into our third segment of the show, I'd love to give a huge shout out and thank you to our citizens of tomorrow, specifically our Escape Velocity citizens who give us more than $10 per month on per episode on Patreon and either more than $30 per month on Minds.com. We also have our Orbital subscribers who give us more than $5 per episode on Patreon and more than $10 per month on Minds.com. And we also have our suborbital citizens who give us more than $2.50 per episode on Patreon or more than $5 per month on Minds.com. And the suborbital citizens get their name in the show and they get early access to After Dark as soon as it's available, as well as a few other rewards. So if you'd like to help crowdfund the shows of tomorrow as well, head on over to patreon.com or minds.com/TMRO. And for our third segment of the show today, we just wanted to give you guys a bit of an introduction about who we are. So I think we'll just go around the table and give you guys a 1 or 2 sentence description of who we are and why we're here on Tomorrow Science. So Jade, did you want to kick us off?
Alrighty. Hello, Internet. I'm Jade Kim. I am a science communicator. I work at the Griffith Observatory, which is an astronomy museum in Los Angeles. And I also work for a science nonprofit that helps women and minorities get careers in STEM. And I really like
so
science.
Awesome.
Thanks.
That's really cool.
You're cool.
Athena, what about you?
Hey guys, so I just moved here from New York, actually, and I am also a science communicator. I studied astrophysics for a few years back in college, got diverted into doing a full-time modeling and acting career, and now branched back into talking about space because I think it's really important and a lot of more people need to know about this stuff. And so this is how I'm now here, and I'm really excited.
Awesome, thanks, Athena. And myself, I'm a science communicator. I've got a master's degree in science communication, and I spent most of 2017 traveling around to schools all in remote and regional areas of Australia, going in and performing really cool science demonstrations and shows and getting kids and the general public excited about science, which I think is why we're all here on Tomorrow Science as well, to share that conversation about the coolness of science with all of you. That's our show for this week. Before we go, I'd like to give a huge shout out to our ground support citizens that help support the show. These are the people that give $1 or more on Patreon and $4 or more per month on Minds.com. If you'd like to help crowdfund the shows of tomorrow too, head on over to patreon.com or minds.com/TMRO. All right, thank you very much for watching. That's our show for this week, and we'll see you next month on Tomorrow Science.
Nice
Bye-bye.
meeting you all. See you soon.
Do you have any notes? No. I don't have any either. That was good.
I love that about the Griffith Observatory is like college football. Science broadcasting.
We got drafted.
I think that's all the notes I have. That was a good experimental show. We got through all 3 main segments. News, I think, is generally the hardest part because there are the most moving pieces on it. I think the discussion, once we come up with a topic for next week, will be if you do what you just did this week, we're golden. We're done. That's easy. And then for next week's show, the About Me segment will definitely be more than 1 or 2 sentences. So feel free to have like a little bit more of a bio. If you want to, I will not require it. If you want to, feel free to bring in any fun and campy pictures of yourselves. To, yeah. Up to you. Objects? Up to you. Absolutely. Show and tell is absolutely allowed. We want the point. So the hard part is we're not going to have. So that third segment is the comments from the last show. This will be our first show, so there will be no comments from the last show. So what we want to do instead is really truly get to know you as a human being.
Yeah.
So the better you can convey that, the more awesome it'll be. Assume 3 to 5 minutes, not a hard time, right? So about 3 to 5 minutes per person, and have fun with it. Certainly smile, feel free to do whatever you want. But yeah, I think that's what we'll do for the third segment. Lisa, you did fantastic on the citizen slides on that last one. That was exactly what we're looking for. And you remember ground support. So kudos, because I always forget it. So yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Great. All right, any final notes for me back this direction? Question, comments, concerns, anything from the chat room as well. I don't have a chat room in front of me, so people will have to convey that. One other thing to remember, chat room is delayed by approximately 20 seconds. So it takes 20 seconds for your image to hit their computers, and then they need a moment. It actually takes about 14 seconds. Then they need a moment to actually type what they want to say. So if you're like, hey, chat room, what do you think? You get to sit there in awkward silence for about 20 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time, but it's a long time. Yeah, exactly. So just kind of remember to give yourself some buffer room if you ever want to query the chat room on a topic. Much like I just did. I said, hey, chat room, what do you think? And then I described the chat room. Yeah. Still waiting for them to say anything.
Question about the chat room programming. Can we switch the platform and the username so that username comes first and then it says YouTube or Twitch or whatever?
I think So Colton has bigger, grander plans than that.
Right.
Where it will be much cooler than even that, I think. It will be because
short term.
Short-ish term. Define short term.
That's just code, right? You can swap code.
Yeah, swapping the username and platform is not necessary. Yeah, I mean, he can probably. I don't want to speak for him, but he can probably do that particular change very quickly. His more grandiose plans are much harder.
I understand.
Certainly. Yeah.
It's hard to filter through a bunch of YouTube things and visually space that.
Yeah, I understand. He's probably angry at me because I was all like, "No, you need to support Safari too." And I forgot to mention Edge. We need to support Edge too.
Well, all the things, right?
Yeah,
you can't control platform.
I know he's not wrong. He's not wrong, but he's also not right.
I know.
I get it, but yeah. All right. I'm happy. Comments, Carrie Ann, Kat, anyone else? Peanut Gallery.
Sorry, Dariachi.
No, it was good.
Yep.
I like it. I do like news in there and then coming out here because it's.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Why?
Connects better. It just connects better with like TMRO, not necessarily space or something.
Yeah, but we didn't always do that. We used to do news, and for most of Space Vidcast and Tomorrow, we did news and everything in the same location.
Yeah, but that always feels more.
It just feels.
How did you feel about doing news in there and coming in here?
I actually liked that.
I like it. I like that it differentiates it.
Yeah, it breaks the energy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's like CNN versus versus not Dr. Phil, but The View. The View. Those are terrible examples. I'm so sorry.
Lisa, you agree?
Yeah, actually, I did think it was nice. I did like it. So maybe we do that.
All right, that's what we'll do. And then will you have a bedroom in the background next week, or do we have a different?
Yeah, I don't have anywhere to film.
No, it's not. It's human. It's fine. I mean, it shows kind of the raw nature of the show. I would like to, if you get a moment, I would like to scope out other locations if you're able to, but certainly not a requirement. And certainly not for next week. Next week is just about getting the show done.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Next week would be the last time I would be in this specific room in this specific country. So.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yay.
That's a way to put it.
Yep. All right. I think that's it. Any other comments from the chat room? Because I can't see the chat room.
Lisa should get a cat. They say
that was important
for a distracting animal in the background on Skype.
Yes.
But other than that,
I used to have a
After
cat.
Dark. Yo. Someone asked about After Dark for the science.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I don't know what we're going to do, because what's going to happen is, much like today, I think space is going to flow straight into science, and there won't be an After Dark.
Space went for so long today.
Well, that's because we couldn't get the show started, Dutta.
Ah.
Okay, then.
That's true. I screwed up plenty of times during the show. Yeah, it was a hard show to get into. I still think it's going to flow almost immediately.
Are you highlighting that too? Yeah.
Jared was the distracting animal in the background.
I can take on that role very easily.
All right. So I think the answer is yes. Well, especially since you guys you're only monthly, so After Dark is basically what we're doing right now, is just talking about anything we want.
Cool.
So I think what we will do is, I think we will do After Dark directly after the show. We just have a moment to just stop, and then anything you want to talk about is on the table. More science stories, cool. There's no format. There's no nothing. It's just a casual conversation. Like this week's After Dark was basically this experiment to this demonstration, right? That's what they get to see. But the only way they're going to get to see it is in After Dark. It's not going to be published as a thing. So, all right. Everyone cool with that?
Yeah.
Any other comments from the chat room?
I'm happy.
Clarify to the chat room, Space is a weekly show.
Oh, yeah.
Science is going to be a monthly show starting next week.
Yeah, so Science was supposed to start officially today, but I ran out of time for reasons. So today is the demonstration show, just to piece it together to make sure that everyone's comfortable with the different components. That is a thing that I learned. We learned a lot with cities. Like a lot of really good lessons with cities. And so that is a thing that I learned with cities that we need to do. So today is the piece together it show, get rid of all the technical stuff, blah, 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 blah. Next week is the real first experiment. So just like we have orbits for space, we have experiments for science. So it'd be experiment 1.01, then 1.02, 1.03. So 1.01 is next week, and then it will for after that it will be the first Saturday of each month after that. That be the plan.
Word.
Word.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, I'm too. It's gonna be fun.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so bummed I'm not going to be here.
What?
Yeah.
Explain.
Where's our distracting kitten gonna be?
Yeah.
Bring a real one. I don't know.
It's not the same, Jared.
Other stuff from the chat room, Dada? Anything else?
I'm a cat. I could just go sit at the table over there.
That's true.
Nothing else from the chat room? All right, I think that's it. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We will see you next week with a science and a space show. Bye everybody.
Yay! Thanks so much, guys.